So, hey, hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to my Friday morning show. I'm coming to you a little earlier than usual today because I'm heading into the city for a meeting right after this. So, I hope that you got my message and you know and you're logged on. So, today we're talking about fear and how I almost died on a mountaintop. Wink, wink. But before we make that climb together, I'm Mary Marino, and I'm a certified life and leadership coach. And I work with women who are struggling with change and feeling kind of lost in transition, get empowered toward their new beginning. So you can read more about me and what I do on my website, marymarinocoaching.com. And right there on the homepage, of course, you'll find my ebook, How to Navigate Change and Manage Transitions in Life, the 5 essentials to finding the new you. And you can download that for free when you enter your email and become a part of my email community. So, and you can also find all my videos there, right there under the resource tab. This is episode number 20. Do you handle fear, or does fear handle you? And I'm going to be uploading this episode later today. So check it out and please share it with your friends. So back to my story. So 10 years ago, I took a vacation out west with a girlfriend. Newly divorced, it was my first vacation as a single girl, so I was really super excited. And my friend, an avid traveler, she offered to plan our whole trip, so I was very grateful for that. We were going to the Grand Canyon, Bryce, Monument Valley, Zion National Park, and we were ending in Vegas, baby. So our vacation began in Phoenix, Arizona. And have you ever been to Phoenix in July? You know, it's a beautiful city, but blowtorch hot. Anyway, we planned to take in a little bit of the city before our tour began. And one of the things my friends wanted to do was to hike Camelback Mountain. The views were supposed to be spectacular, of course. And so I was in. I wasn't a hiker, but I was a former marathoner, so I was pretty confident that I could do it. But the hike was a bit more challenging than we both expected. Of course, it was like 150 degrees, but we made it to the summit. And the trek was well worth it because the views were even more beautiful than we had thought. We celebrated our victory. We took a million postcard photos, making our way back down, and before making our way back down. So, I don't know what happened, but we got turned around somehow and we headed down a path that was different than the one we took up. And unlike our ascent, that was crowded with people. We were the only ones heading down this way. And we figured that out pretty quickly because the path disappeared and we found ourselves surrounded by these big yellow caution signs that read, "Danger, loose and falling rocks." Yeah, no kidding, because with every step we took, we dislodged rocks and sent them careening down the mountain. Oh my God, it was terrifying. I completely froze. I sat down, head in my hands, and completely lost it. I started to cry as the hot Arizona sun beat down on me. And in less than a nanosecond, I went from about 0 to 1,000 miles per hour in my brain. Has it ever happened to you? My life passed before my eyes. My daughters were crying as they read the headlines. 2 girls from Queens found dead on Camelback Mountain, their bodies shriveled in the sun. Story was all over the evening news. Neighbors interviewed said, "Oh, they were really nice girls, out for a little adventure. Such a pity they were so young." Oh my God, can you relate? Convinced we were doomed, I looked up at my friend one last time and reached for her hand. She laughed and said, "What the hell is wrong with you? Come on, let's get out of here." And she pointed and said, "Stand up, Marion. Turn around, for God's sake." Snapping me back into reality, I could see we had not traveled that far at all. We were only a couple of feet from the safe terrain of the summit, and I could even see the other tourists milling around about out there. I couldn't believe it. I started to laugh, and now I was doubled over. I was laughing so hard. In less than a minute, we were back up at the summit and heading down the right path. And you know what? I smiled all the way down the mountain that day, thinking how ridiculous I was and how I allowed my fears to exaggerate the situation. But in that moment, my fear was so real. And the more I leaned into it, the more powerful it became. Over the years, I've often looked back at that experience. And each time I do, I find another lesson learned. Yeah, fear can really paralyze us, but it can also motivate. I can still see my friend smiling down at me, assuring me that I was okay. And in that moment, I realized I had a choice. I could allow fear to keep me paralyzed, or I could stand up and get moving. And when we look to make changes in our lives, we try new things. And sometimes that takes us into unfamiliar territory, just like I was that day. And understandably, this could really be scary. As humans, we are instinctively programmed to protect ourselves from danger, right? It's the fight or flight mentality. And that can be a good thing, because sometimes there really is danger, and that fear can protect us. But more often, we feel fear when there's no perceived danger. And if we choose to succumb, then we allow fear to steal our dreams. But when we stand up and step into our fear, we can live full out and we can grow. We know this, but how do we overcome this? Even though we go even when we're scared. So acknowledging and identifying the source of our fears is really the very first step. And there are many fears: fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of missing out, fear of not being good enough or worthy enough. And most of the time, our fear is grounded in self-doubt. It can hide in our excuses, rationalization, and procrastination. And once we discover, name, and embrace our fear, we can practice self-compassion. And out of that compassion, understanding and awareness. So fear makes us lose faith in ourselves, right? It can make us a victim living at the affect of our life. So the second step is remembering how powerful we really are. And when our faith in ourselves and our wanting becomes greater than our fear, we can push through. So I've come to realize that mountain served as a threshold in my life. I really wasn't afraid of dying that day. I actually was afraid of living. You see, I'd struggled my whole life to get to the summit of my happiness. And reaching the top of that mountain was symbolic of my achievement. After all, I had just survived breast cancer and found the courage to end a very bad marriage. It was now time to give up that life of struggle and be happy. And that terrified me. Truth was, I didn't know how to be happy. And those rocks I kicked down the mountain that day, well, each one of them has come to symbolize the strife I had overcome: disappointment, betrayal, disillusionment, illness. It was time to put an end to all of that and begin to live life on my terms. And whatever that meant, it was now my job to discover it. And that terrified me. What if I never figured it out? And my friend, well, she was my teacher that day, who showed me that my fears were misguided. My life experience had more than prepared me to face down my fears, step up, take what I deserved, and live the life of my dreams. And guess what? The same is true for you. So what mountain are you climbing? What do you want your view from the summit to look like? What are the rocks your fears are hiding behind? Do you have the courage to kick them out of your way? I've learned that courage is not being fearless. Oh no, it's quite the opposite. Courage is being afraid and going anyway. So if you think you're ready to start kicking your fears down your mountain and you need a little help to get started, then message me here. You can also go to my website, MaryMarinoCoaching.com, go to the Contact Me page, complete the form, and I'll be in touch. And from there, we'll chat and see if coaching is right for you. So, thanks so much for joining me here today. please share this with anyone you think could benefit. And just as a reminder, I'll be speaking in person at the Great Neck Library on Wednesday, March 4th. My friend Irene and I will be presenting What is Consciousness. So drop by if you're in the neighborhood. I put the details in my business page. It'd be great to meet you in person if you do come by. And I'm available to speak at your next group meeting, so you can just drop me a note here and or go to my website. So I'll see you back next week. In the meantime, you live with intention, lead with integrity, and learn with inspiration. Take care now. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.